All right, what is going on, everyone who's watching on Livestorm, watching in different places that this goes to? We are back. Another weekly marketing webinar. Still don't have a great name for this, but that'll come sometime soon. I'm pretty sure this is week 8. So I've been doing this for 2 months. And again, for everyone that's new here, the goal with these webinars aren't to take up your day. The goal is really just to get inspired around either a topic or a thought or a perspective, either related to influencer marketing or tangential to influencer marketing, so that either you can take it back and run it with a strategy, you can take it back and talk with your team, and give you a space that you learn something quickly in 20 minutes, and then hopefully it ends up helping. Today, I'm talking with who's also on the screen with me. I hate doing live intros. It sucks. Lindsay Calabrese. And I don't want to I always say this, but I'd rather you introduce yourself over 30 seconds, like how you feel you're best represented. So what have you done in this space? What do you do now? What's a bit of the background?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. My name is Lindsay, and I have been in influencer marketing for the past 12 years. Helped launch the first influencer marketing tech platform back in 2013 called the Amplify, which has now merged into Collectively. Started from, an apartment building with a friend, and grew it to get acquired in 2016. Worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. Oversaw influencer strategy for brands like Taco Bell, Dove Women, Axe, Disney, and so on. Then oversaw global expansion, opened up offices in London and Paris. Left there in 2019. And I spent a year in the DTC space, which was invaluable because I got to focus on finding creators that have built an engaged community that actually can drive targeted traffic, that actually can convert. Did a lot of affiliate marketing strategies. And then I spent a year as the SVP of brand partnerships at Whaler, selling through the first Super Bowl campaign and pharma campaign. And then 2 years at Cashmere, really immersed in influencer marketing as it pertains to cultural impact and Gen Z. And then spent 6 months really immersed in NIL. I love to get paid to learn, and this industry is evolving so quickly. So while NIL is still influencer marketing, there's definitely a lot more red tape. And then 5 weeks ago, I joined the Arena Group as their new general manager, head of Creator Network. So we're building the creator-led cultural content hub for brands like Sports Illustrated, SI Swim, Men's Journal, The Street, Parade Magazine, and a bunch of other niche pubs. So it's been really awesome to spearhead kind of like the creator network strategy, building out what I'm calling a creator culture first network, which I think we're going to kind of talk about a little, but it's basically partnering with creators in front of the lens, and behind the scenes, placing creators at the heart of everything we do and how we do it.
There's so many ways I can go with this. I can always just give you the floor and say for the next 60 minutes, just talk about what you want to talk about, because you have so much knowledge. There's so much experience, so much perspective. But yeah, to your point, we will go very specific this time and maybe do a part 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a joke. We definitely won't do that because you've got a lot more stuff to do. So you talk about your new role at the Arena Group and being the GM for Creator Network and wanting to work with creators, to your point, in front, behind, and then just behind the scenes in the operations. I kind of want to get some context on this. Like, why did this come to the forefront of your mind? Why did this opportunity come to you being like, I really want to do this in a position, and now you're at the Arena Group with it? What was the source? Where did this come from?
Well, in my 12 years in the influencer space, they've all been at agencies. I think agencies kind of get a bad rep to an extent, but for me, the experience has been incredible because I've gotten to work with a lot of amazing brands, but I've gotten to see the inside of the agencies and all the different layers and red tape, and honestly, like the creative process. And also I've gotten to work with all the different verticals, right? I'm very comfortable working and looking at, strategy from fashion to tech to auto to CPG, etc. And I've seen when strategy is where it gets held up and where it gets bottlenecked. And so something I've been pitching for the last 3 or 4 years is creating an influencer agency, so to speak, or creative agency that is built and powered by creators in all the sense. I've seen traditional creatives and strategists, take a couple months to develop, you know, this integrated strategy. And I've kind of given the same goals and objectives to creators, and off the cuff, they just start spitballing ideas and in record time. So I was just like, what would happen if we brought creators into the fold sooner than handing them a creative brief saying, here are the guidelines, create content. The creative process starts as early as the research phase. What are your goals and objectives? Who are you trying to reach and why? What is your why? How are we going to do this? The research, is a place where you can bring in creators to do focus groups, to be the creative board of directors. And then through ideation, right? So for me, it's like, what I've seen creators do magical things given a brief when everything's already baked out. But what would happen if they were in from day one? That's what I'm interested in.
I know we were speaking about this before and saying that there's so many creators in the space, and there's so many that do many things well, or some that are more focused on a need or a niche than others. When you're looking to work with these creators, let's call it behind the scenes, to actually power these operations, are there certain indicators you're looking for, having like your experience over the past 10 years, that you're saying, I'm not looking at metrics because I'm looking at their fundamental skill, and like, here are the things that I've noticed to be the creators that are great for ideation, great for being this so-called board of directors? And there might not be an answer. I just wanted to know.
I mean, gosh, they all have their superpowers, and some have, kind of like more superpowers, or their superpowers are in different areas. For me, I love getting, I love just getting on a call with creators and just getting to know their story. What drives them? What are they passionate about? What do they love doing? What do they not love doing? What do they want to learn more about?
Yeah.
Where do they see their brand, in a few years?
Mm.
And it's just like their passion comes out.
Cool.
And also I love walking them through, like, here's a brand opportunity. These are the goal and objectives. Here's how we're measuring success. Let's talk about, does your brand align with their brand? And just kind of seeing what comes. But to back this up, I think the big opportunity by partnering with creators, again, in front of the lens, behind the scenes,
Yeah.
is really like creators, the landscape is totally different now. Creators are the through line from the culture to the sale. And in order to get from point A to point B, you have to operate in culture and know how to create within the culture. For brands to be relevant, they need to know how to tap into culture. They need to move at the speed of culture. They need to have Gen Z embrace them. Gen Z doesn't like to be talked at. They like to co-create. They like to collaborate. They like to co-create. They like shared experiences. And shared experiences aren't only physical influencer trips. Shared experiences can be giving them a seat at the table. That could be a shared experience. Helping them, partnering with them to bring things to life. For me, that's the huge opportunity.
Yeah. I think what you're bringing up is something we spoke about. I think this was maybe week 1 or week 2 of this weekly marketing series, and the idea of how do you give the creator an opportunity to feel valued in a sense that, or in a space that they'd never be given that opportunity. So on a billboard, or to your point, at a seat in a strategy meeting, and these things that these opportunities that aren't given to the creators that seemingly have everything. They have the audience, they have the fame, but you give them those more traditional opportunities. It seems like what you're getting at is so important. When you talk about behind the scenes, what type of roles behind the scenes, or where have you seen creators fit in behind the scenes?
I mean, honestly, everything being done at a traditional influencer agency or in-house at a brand, a creator of some sort can do. Um, Creators are entrepreneurial. They're the first ones to hack a platform. Um, then you see brands start doing the hack. They know how to build an engaged community, to create content, to speak to an audience in a very authentic, engaging way. Some of the most brilliant marketers haven't figured that out. Creators are not just amplifiers. So, I mean, from focus groups to creative board of directors to script writing, copywriting, filmmaking, producing, still images, photography, stop motion graphics. I mean, written words, spoken words. I mean, really, a creator of some sort can do. You have to look past the follower count and vanity metrics. You have to actually look at and be invested in the person, their capabilities, see them actually as a person, as a creative, not just a influencer.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about it's redefining influence. It's reimagining storytelling
Mm.
when you take this approach. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have an example, whether something that you've heard of and or a campaign or a strategy that you've been a part of where creators have been involved, so-called behind the scenes?
Yeah, lots actually. I mean, I can just speak to what I've kind of been a part of.
Sure.
Back in 2017, we did the inaugural Feed the Creator program for Taco Bell. And we partnered them with 6 emerging creators. And I mean emerging, like 5,000 followers to like 75K. We invited them to the HQ in Irvine. And basically, the marketing PR team, the C suite team came in and said, here's the goal and objective of this, right? Like, here's what we haven't figured out. Here's what we want to accomplish. Here's the new products that we're going to be launching over the course of the year. This is the white space that we want to start painting in, and we don't know how to do it. We would love for you to be like our creative board of directors. And again, there's reciprocity because Taco Bell is such an iconic brand. They have a level of access that, is nice to have. They treat their creators extremely, extremely well. That's a long-term vision brand. So there definitely was reciprocity, but we sat back and we watched the creators be like, oh, you want to accomplish this? This is how I would do it. You're launching this product. I would approach it this way. You want to paint in this space? Look at it from this angle. I mean, creative board of directors, that was like back in 2017. Google worked with them a lot the past couple of years. They want to better understand Gen Z, right? Because TikTok, like Gen Z or Google to a lot of millennials was the big fancy, right, thing. To Gen Z, it's not so fancy. They grew up with it. What is fancy and is TikTok, right? So instead of doing this big outward public facing campaign for Google, we did an internal cultural impact summit, right? That was casted by Gen Z, right? And we held an educational summit, gave them the floor, because influence and impact starts from within. So let's learn, let's get excited, let's get the buy-in, and then let's work together to create those campaigns. But Gen Z was brought in for research, right? Before there was even a campaign. Bumble, I didn't sell this one through, but when I was at Whaler, one of my colleagues, we did a focus group, but it was like a social focus group. So Bumble wanted to understand how the LGBTQIA plus communities interact with dating apps. And so we partnered with creators that were representative of each of the communities, did an internal focus group, then did an external one. They posted to Instagram stories, an interactive survey, right? Asking questions. We then kind of like looked at the research and said, here you go. And they that ended up having them change the roadmap. Adobe does a great job at this, right? Like they have this whole they work with a social standard, and I've worked with them in the past, but it's like working with a creator. Walk me through your creative process from ideation to creation to finished process, right? And they create content showing the entire process using Adobe. Disney does a they're for their parks when they partnered with like 30 plus creators, but they brought them into the innovation lab. There are so many ways that brands can partner with creators to bring this to life, to tap into culture, and we're just scratching the surface. The most successful brand campaigns are integrated, they're inclusive, and they're culturally relevant. And again, like you need to, in order to kind of produce it, you need to operate within and create within. And loosen the reins. You need to loosen the reins of like your brand, because brands think they know everything about them. They think that we know our product the best, we know our voice the best, we know who our target audience is the best, how they speak, but that's just not the case. If your product and brand isn't adopted by niche communities, then you don't really have a product or brand. Specific is a new broad, right? Like, so you kind of like brands need to like loosen the reins, lean in to the people who are trying to reach more than they are.
Play devil's advocate for a second. I think everything you've said, these are the conversations we have, and I think we get really excited and passionate over. But on the other side, like, why is there a case where a brand shouldn't be adopting this idea of partnering with creators 360 more than just being a vessel to reach a new audience? Are there certain instances, are there certain use cases where they shouldn't be considering this?
I mean, I personally don't think so for like the reasons I just said. I mean, like the most successful brand campaigns are integrated, inclusive, and culturally relevant. Brands just need to be open to the fact that they don't know everything. And they just need to, I mean, most brands are partnering with creators. That's just most things. Well, smart brands are anyways. It's just they need to start partnering with them sooner than later. Right now, it's still amplification. It's still like we already have the strategy. We've already done our research. We already have the strategy. We already have our do's and don'ts and guidelines. Like here's a brief, and stay within these guardrails and create, and then post it. It's just bring them in sooner in the process. Just bringing them in sooner. I mean, yeah.
You know what's so interesting, and I think everything you're saying to me is really exciting. I know I have a ton of bias around it, but it really is you don't only have to be a marketer. Like you could be in operations, you could be in engineering for a company, or you can be in product development, whatever that may be. You're so right that there are so many use cases, and those use cases go beyond the follower count on a TikTok profile, on a YouTube page. What's interesting is I've been hearing a bunch of marketers talk about how everyone's always like, we want to build a relationship with creators, and they're saying like, all right, how events. And I heard a couple marketers recently go, we're just going to open up like 2 or 3 workstations at our main offices in these main cities, and just say, hey, if you want, come through, like come hang with us for the day, come work with us for that. Like you're not opining on anything related to our brand, but we just want to be around you. We want you to be around us, and to your point, give them access that they didn't have before. The impact on that is insane. Like that's another conversation, but to your point, and that's at like the lowest common denominator versus like some really exciting stuff on these full integrated campaigns. The last thing I'll say is this, or the last thing I'll ask is this. I know we have like a minute, 2 minutes left, but if you were talking to a marketer who's trying to get their team to buy in on this, because to your point about loosening the reins and you really need a champion on the inside to see this, what do they say? What are 1 or 2 things you'd get that marketer to think about exploring with their team to help their team better understand what you're seeing over your experience?
I mean, I wish it was as easy as like here's step 1, step 2, step 3. It really is having an open mind and just understanding that the landscape has changed, and to start having conversations. It, like you said, brands are like, let's just, experiences aren't just a destination, a physical destination. Experiences are giving them a seat at the table. Like, again, like, this really isn't like rocket science or anything like that. It's just a willingness to, it's willingness to understand, like, you don't know everything, and to give them a seat at the table. I mean, that really is, for me, it really is it. And it could just be because I've been in this industry for 12 years, and I've been on the agency side for 12 years, and seeing where there are bottlenecks. And I've seen amazing strategies come out of strategists, of course. I've also seen, I've just been able to, I'm really big on what are the goals and objectives? What is the why? What are we trying to accomplish? And when I talk with creators, and I'm like, I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to let you know what we're trying to accomplish. Tell me if I'm crazy. Does this align with you? Like, let's just talk about it. And they're like, this is how I would do it. And I've been like, let's do it. And the results have been like, I'm not even kidding, like 10x organic. Brands think, oh, I need an in-feed post. I need an in-feed post in order to accomplish what I need to accomplish. And I've had creators say, I'm just going to post on Instagram stories, no paid behind it. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to tease it. No paid behind it. Every time they posted, 5K to 25K in sales, versus the brand was like, I want an in feed, and then I want 3 stories. It's just like, just have a conversation. If it's not aligned with their brand, or they don't feel like they can accomplish it, the creator will tell you. The creator will flat out tell you, like, that's not how I would do it, or it doesn't really work like that. This is how it works. Like, the creators will tell you. We just have to listen, and we have to have an open mind and understand, just because maybe we went to college, or just because we have 10 years experience in marketing, or just because we've previously sat at the table, doesn't mean like we have the right answers. I think influencer marketing professionals, were connectors. Like, understand the goals and objectives and what a brand wants to accomplish, how we're measuring success. Talk with creators, understand what their goals and objectives are, what their, superpowers are, where they want to see like their brand, what is their, ethos. And when you see a match, no gatekeeping, let's just bring them together and put them in the same room.
I think such a great way of ending it off. And I think I really think that is a tangible step one of, you don't want to spend money, you don't want to run a campaign, fine, but invite them for a conversation, especially if you're a large enterprise marketer, where to your point, they don't get access to just sit at the table and have a conversation. That's probably going to mean a lot. And so I wish we could keep talking. I know 20 minutes are up. Thank you so much for the perspective. Thank you for sharing examples. Thank you for helping us see things in a little bit of a different way, and just expanding it by giving these actual examples. I think hopefully the people here today, and everyone that watches this post, comes away with a little bit of a different perspective compared to just traditional influencer marketing, which we've done for 12 years. And to your point, it's now part of the game, but what do we do next? It's really cool to see what you're up to at the Arena Group. And so everyone here, definitely follow Lindsay. I'm sure you came in to listen to Lindsay, but definitely follow Lindsay and see the journey you're about to go on. For us, next week, we're talking to Denise Vitola, who's the VP of PR, Influencer, and Social at Bayer. I think she's a pretty similar spirit to Lindsay, kind of this renegade. We're doing more. We can't just keep doing what we've been doing. It doesn't matter if there's some red tape. Let's find a way around it. And she works at Bayer, so big pharma, and we're going to talk about how she's been navigating that. But in the meantime, Lindsay, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your brain on this.
I can just say one last thing. So the Arena Group is hiring in-house creators. The posting is up on LinkedIn. Honestly, disregard the years of experience. That's something that we kind of had to put on there. But like, we're hiring full-time in-house creators, salary, benefits. It's as of now an all women, like, badass group of us kicking this off. So check out the postings. There's going to be more going up, as we grow in next year. We are truly building this with creators from the inside out. So apply, check it out and apply.
Definitely do. Go follow, go connect with Lindsay on LinkedIn, and all the information will be there. Lindsay, thank you once again so much, and to
Thank
everyone
you.
that jumped in, thank you for the time, and we'll see you next week.
All right, peace out.
See
Bye.
ya.